Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Shieldcoomer, and today we're gonna be covering Algath'ar. I always have troubles pronouncing this key. Algathar's Academy +20 key on a Fortified week. As of the date of update, this was 2 weeks ago, where I still played Holy. I have fully switched to Disc now. Disc is amazing since last update, and I will be covering both Holy and Disc builds in a video that's coming soon. Expected maybe next week. I have some other videos that I want to upload. I'm not really sure how much I'll be pushing on Disc, because even though I do like Disc, I'm not really sure how good it is still compared to Rested Druid and Evoker, so it's as simple as that. Maybe as community realizes that this has potential, maybe people will start inviting priests a little bit more, because besides doing big damage, we also bring PI, which is for some burst classes is extremely potent, but until that day comes, it's really tiring right now doing keys as priest. I'm sure many of you that play priest can relate. It is just not very fun having to wait like 1 hour to get into any key and stuff like that, so unless you can push your own keys, you're kind of stuck just kind of like praying that you get accepted randomly for no reason whatsoever. Honestly, it's not as bad, but it's pretty annoying. Anyway, regardless, enough whining, let's get into the key. It's a pretty basic Holy Priest build, nothing too special here. We're running like a, just like a Light Weaver build with Imperial Blaze, with Chastise Stun. It's my standard build that I'm using in M+. It works pretty well, I find it useful in all situations. One thing that I could potentially change in this dungeon in particular is we could get Holy Nova. Whether it's worth it or not, probably not. Perhaps for that like one pack, one start, right, where you can actually do some good damage. But in my opinion, it's honestly not worth it. It's kind of whatever. I guess it's up to you. Maybe do you need that AoE really? If you feel like you do, you can go for it. If you feel like you wanna do big pulls and stuff, this week big pulls were kind of chill. Grievous is annoying, but on that particular pull, I'm talking before tree boss, by the way, where you can do a big pull. A lot of people do big pulls there, and you can save a lot of time by just going really big and then AoEing it all down, and it works pretty well, especially as I said, Spiteful, Grievous, none of these affixes really prevent you from going big, unless you feel like there's like overwhelming amount of AoE damage that isn't healable, which honestly there isn't in a lot of these. In a lot of these keys, there isn't one, but yeah. Anyway, here they wanted to do a big pull with Bloodlust. This was pretty good. It worked out pretty well, I think. It's
monotonous lecture.
It's a little bit, as you can see, stressful, but with BL usually like healing is much easier and should rarely be an issue. Of course, some things, like big AoE one-shots and stuff, doesn't matter if you have BL, because it's not about like your reaction, it's more about just the fact that some things cannot be survived. Luckily in this dungeon there isn't many of these things, so yeah. Here I was a little bit stressed because I was asleep for so long, but it is what it is. And here you can see Grievous doing some work. Grievous is not to be underestimated. There's a reason healers hate this affix. It's a very... It's one of those where you can see how it just slowly ticks people down. You don't notice it here because I'm having like the trail of light on people. And it seems like it's not, so it's kind of counteracting it. This is like one of the few reasons why Holy Priest is very good on Grievous weeks as opposed to Disc, where Disc is very stressful to play in Grievous weeks. You have to like spam spells just to top people up and stuff. And here I tell boys to carry with mana bombs. Mana bombs on Fortified don't really one-shot, but on a 20 they still hurt a lot, so anything in combination with mana bombs can kill you, so you just have to be careful. And here I actually would have liked if we took stacks faster and then just mass the spell so I can get it back for the next one, but in a non-coordinated group this is, as good as you can hope to get. And I was very worried about mana bombs here, as as they're about to come out here, and you can see like the 3 people get it, but honestly they've handled it really well. They didn't take any extra damage, you know, together with Grievous. A little bit stressy, but again, no issues, you know, Trail of Light and Holy Priest, you know, doing work. It's pretty good. And here, I would say one mistake I did here is using my Divine Word with Sanctify. Probably not worth it. I think in dungeons, more often than not, unless you know for a fact you will be perfectly stacked, it's better to use it on Serenity and then just spam more. It's just the nature of 5-man content. And also never forget that you also get healing by healing others passively, which is one of the cool things about Holy Priest. So whenever there's like an ongoing AoE damage, you know, as long as you heal others, you know you're gonna be top 2. It's not huge healing, but it's enough to kind of like counteract a lot of smaller AoEs and stuff. And as you can see, honestly, this boss was pretty chill. I could have even DPS'd here. I did very low DPS because I was very stressed and I wanted to be on top of things and I wanted to top everybody up. As you can see here, I have kind of like ran out of instant spells to cast and I had to move. And you know, I think this is like the main downside of Holy Priest compared to like a lot of other healers, is sometimes you just catch yourself without any instants and then you have to stop and cast like a very hard cast of like almost 2 seconds, which it's pretty long in M+ environment, especially during like movement mechanics. And here you can see me pop like a juicy health potion. By the way guys, this expansion, I will say this for both DPS players and healers and anybody really. I mean, this was always a case, but I feel like this season in particular, it's extremely potent. Health potions, guys, are insanely good right now. They heal, like a rank 3 health potion is actually just lay on hands. Like, it's insane how good it is. It's a 5-minute like lay on hands. It's crazy. It's busted. Use it, please. It is absolutely disgusting how good it is. It really is. It's nasty. It's nasty. People don't use it enough. It is crazy how good it is. Of course, I mean, you know, everybody knows their priority for potions and stuff, you know. Maybe some people prefer to use something else for whatever reason and stuff like that, but I think in general health potions on hierarchies have very high potential. You know, sometimes healers simply do not have enough time to top everybody up, and there are some bad overlaps and stuff, and you know, a health potion can save you. Think of like a second boss in Knockwound Offensive, you know, for example, after you get clapped by lightning and then you have AoE incoming, you know, some healers maybe simply don't have enough output to get you up on time. And like a Healthstone or a Health Pot there just kind of like helps equalize the fight a little bit and puts your healer back on the spot and stuff like that. And ultimately it's not, you know, it's a team effort. You gotta help out each other, you know, the same way healers work for you. That's how DPS players should, you know, also allow healers to do their job to the best of their, you know, capability. And you know, if you're dead, you can't be healed, unfortunately, and if you're dead, you also do no DPS, so surviving, you know, is the biggest DPS increase you can possibly have. I always like to say that, you know, the best offensive cooldown you can press is the one that keeps you alive, you know. So, you know, that's on, you know, on the subject of like mages not pressing Ice Block or hunters not pressing Turtle, you know, oftentimes I'll hear like, well, you know, I was in my cooldowns or something. Well, what's now with your cooldowns that you're dead, you know? They didn't really do much, do they? Anyway, this pack, that's just kind of my, you know, my personal view of it. I think like surviving is always #1 option. The only time surviving doesn't become the primary goal is if you know for a fact that you need to squeeze out every last bit of DPS. But I guarantee you, in a lot of keys that you've been doing, DPS wasn't the issue, not at least in that sense. Like maybe, yeah, sure, if somebody did like 20k more overall, you would have timed it, but in a lot of cases, simply like DPS is not like the primary source of like why things are wrong. It's mostly just like lack of coordination, not organized well enough, dying, stuff like that. Like look at how much time you waste by dying. Like we could have been at 80% of this ad right now if not for like this and stuff like that. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. At least that's my personal view of it. I think these guys got hit while they were like porting. They got hit by ghosts. As you have seen, like the ghost snapped to me and stuff, and this gives me a nice like little mana break. So I was okay with it. Yeah, this was fine by me.
I need to target something first.
And yeah, as you can see, like you just fight this guy nowadays.
Empowered.
What people do is, I mean, as a ranged, honestly, you can just outrange this. I think I made like
Expel intruders.
I wouldn't call it a mistake necessarily, but I would call it not optimal. Is I stood in melee instead of baiting tornadoes away from the mob, allowing others to DPS. So I think as a healer for this one, unless you're a Evoker, I'm not sure Evokers have enough range for
Expel
that.
intruders.
Unless you're a Evoker, you can just stand on the edge and DPS. Unless tanks positions it like this, which is in my opinion completely bad as well. It's the wrong positioning completely, but that's fine. Yeah. I can explain why it's wrong as well. Like, see, like this, like the ranged can't stand on the edge because it's like it's, you know, there isn't one like this on the circle, or there's like a very small specific
Expel
spot
intruders.
where tornado spawns and get fudged. Okay, I shouldn't swear on the YouTube anymore. It's forbidden now. But for real though, like just position him somewhere like next to the pillar, but on the inner side, so range can stand on the edge and melee can just run around the pillar. I've even seen some shenanigans where you can hit him while he's casting and stuff. I don't know, guys, look it up for yourself. As a healer, I personally don't think it's risking my life enough for like some small gain of DPS. I don't do enough DPS to like think it's worth for me to risk it. As a disc, I can throw penance and then move behind the pillar, which, you know, I wait for like 0.7, 0.8, and then I throw penance and then I line of sight, and the penance still goes off, and I basically have like almost 100% uptime. And here they really like me, by the way. Look at this, like 4 of them on me. And then these guys snapped onto me. What even was that? That was crazy.
Empowered.
Was that because I ran out of circle?
Call of
Is
the
that
flock.
a thing? I actually don't know what happened here. I remember now, I got so confused with this. And I released because I knew they were gonna CR me, and I don't think it's worth wasting CR for that. Although the run back was quite long, so I think I kind of made a mistake here, but it is what it is, you know, it happens. I don't know, releasing like a dumbass is probably like one of the worst mistakes I've seen people do in like this level of keys, like around 20s, you know, specifically between like 16s and 20s. It's usually players who are like good enough to do these keys, but they just make like bad decisions. Like what I want to say is like numbers wise, they're good enough to time 20s easily, but decision making just isn't there yet because probably like lack of experience or tilt, or I don't know, just lack of coordination, stuff like that. Like there's a lot of reasons why people don't time keys, but you know, it's just some my personal observation. Of course, not like I don't have any statistics to back this up. This is like very subjective, you know, from what I've seen. I mean, I have done my fair shares of keys, especially previous expansion. This expansion, between getting sick and like changing guild and stuff, it's been quite stressful. I haven't gotten to do many keys yet. This week, as I'm uploading the video this week, so not this week where it was Spiteful and Grievous, but this current week, I've actually managed to do a bunch of keys, so I will show you guys. I've actually timed every 20 on disc, just so I can upload, so I can show you guys that, you know, this is pretty viable up, like, for this key range. It's crazy good. I can't wait. I'm excited. I know most of you are, you know, here for disc play, and Holy is just kind of like, meh. So we'll get into this soon, guys. Yeah, as you can see here, these boys are pretty chill. I mean, here you just have to kill tank pretty much, like, and nobody else should take
Goal
damage.
of the Searing Blaze.
I'm
Goal of the
pretty sure
Searing
Front
Blaze.
will one-shot you. Just kill tank, keep tank up and stuff. And here, I mean, This boss is actually kind of tricky for Holy. You have to be on top of your game. It's not a very fun boss fight for Holy for sure. It's actually one of the rare bosses where I would say
Savage Peck.
discipline is better. Just straight up. We have more tools to make this
Deafening
fight
Screech.
easier for team because we have damage reduction. We bring what we bring like 3% overall to everyone, and then on top of
Savage
that
Peck.
you bring more damage, and then you can bring shields, and then you can bring barrier for the deafening screech. So I'm pretty sure you can like do like 5 stacks on this, even in a coordinated group. Like you could easily just
Deafening
heal the
Screech.
first 3. Maybe not on Tyrannical, but on Fortified
Savage
game, you
Peck.
can just heal 3. Like one thing I will say that Holy does
5.
good here is you have the like divine
Overpowering
not
Gust.
him, you have symbol of hope, so you can basically reset people's defensives, and
Savage
that's helpful.
Peck.
That is very helpful.
Goal of the
So
Searing
there's
Goal
that.
of the Searing
Other
Blaze.
than that, it's honestly like
Deafening
whatever.
Screech.
I should utilize like mind games a little bit better. That's something I noticed. Like mind games, this talent mind games is really not
Savage
that
Peck.
good. Even with like full, like all talents into shattered perception and stuff, even
Overpowering
then
Gust.
it's not good. But it's even less good
Firestorm.
without it. It feels so underwhelming that I'm barely even using it. It's honestly really laughable, but it is
Play
what it
ball.
is. And here we're just doing some damage, you know, popping
Overpowering
Imperial
Gust.
Blaze here, and then just doing some holy fires. You can see like doing respectable amount of
Deafening
damage.
Screech.
It's not good, but it's something. 10k overall.
Savage Peck.
I haven't really been that damage focused in this dungeon overall. It's because I kind of understand my role as the holy, especially in a PoV. It's to just kind of keep people alive. That's kind of how I see it, you know, as a disc. I try to optimize damage much more as holy.
5.
I just
Savage
try to
Peck.
keep people alive because I know I have the power in my hands to fix
Overpowering
people's
Gust.
mistakes in a way. Because when you're playing disc and somebody gets hit by something, you feel very
Deafening
helpless
Rushing
most of the
Winds.
time. You know, because, you know, in theory, as you're pushing higher and higher, people,
Savage
you
Peck.
need like near perfect execution anyway, because most things one-shot, so it doesn't matter that you can't save people, because if somebody fudges
Goal
up,
of the Rushing Winds.
they're dead anyway. So Holy is great for pogging around this range, like
Savage Peck.
that's where Holy really
Deafening
shines, and that's
Screech.
where Holy is really chill to play. As you move upwards, I think like damage
Overpowering
on the healer
Gust.
becomes way more relevant. As long as you can pass healing checks. I will say this because there is a lot of healing checks
Savage
in this video
Peck.
game. Namely the there's a defensive and stuff like that. Like these are healing check dungeons in a lot of cases, such as you know, second boss, fourth boss. There's times where you need to do some serious HPS output, and then also where else there's like a lot of healing required is surprisingly enough I noticed like in SBG in Shadowmoon the Burial
Detonation
Grounds, the
Seed.
first boss has some serious healing requirement during that burst window. Nothing too crazy, but you do need to heal quite a bit. And then also where else, guys? Help me out here. What else do you need healing? I guess last
Detonation
boss of
Seeds.
boss, maybe. Last boss of Ruby. Inferno in Ruby, life pool. Second boss of Ruby. First boss of Ruby in
Detonation
general,
Seeds.
Ruby life pool. It's good after nerfs though, it's good. They nerfed it a lot and it's actually playable now. It doesn't feel like you're constantly on the edge. What else? What else? There's a lot of healing. I don't even know.
Detonation
There's
Seeds.
a couple of dungeons that need healing, but nothing, as I said, nothing too
Detonation
fancy. I don't know.
Seeds.
There is nothing like...
Detonation Seeds.
Think of... this was a really tricky spot, by the way. I wasted fear, I didn't have stun, I didn't have anything, so that was kind
Detonation
of tricky.
Seeds.
I'm surprised we lived there.
Detonation Seeds.
There's nothing like Sanguine Depth second boss in this
Detonation Seeds.
like in this expansion, or even first boss in Sanguine Depth. Like if you remember when people were soaking
Detonation
bolts and
Seeds.
stuff, like that was
5,
very stressful
4,
to deal,
Detonation
honestly.
Seeds.
Like things like that, you know, or
Detonation
let's
Seeds.
say what else? How about But Karazhan.
Detonation
Yeah, Karazhan
seeds.
dungeons, especially lower Kara, with
Detonation
healing
seeds.
required on certain points, like upper Kara, first boss as well. Just like some crazy healing checks where you
Detonation
actually needed to
seeds.
pump some serious amounts of healing. Not to mention like Fortified, there was a lot of like
Detonation
DLEs
seeds.
and stuff. Honestly, this season has been pretty tame. I hear a lot of people say like, healing this season is crazy,
Detonation
you need to heal
seeds.
so much. I don't think so, personally. I think healing is
Detonation
kind of
seeds.
chill this season. There's a couple of healing checks that are absurd, but they nerfed most of these because they were simply overtuned. So I see why people are complaining, but I just don't think that in general that is the case. I feel like we actually just need to do more healing overall, but not as much as we needed previous seasons. But that's maybe because people now got gear as well. People were mostly complaining while it was early, you know, and nobody had gear, so obviously we were taking. Right, this boss actually kind of sucks as holy.
Breaker.
Just gotta be careful. You don't have like a lot of space to move here. To cast while moving as a holy, so
Germinate.
just plan your things accordingly. Here somebody went in counter direction. Okay, and, you know, just simple dark recital kind of thing. If you're not sure what dark recital is, that's
Branch
okay.
out.
I'll spare you the trauma if you Google it. Actually, I don't
Healing
even have a
touch.
video on that on my YouTube. I don't. I actually
Bark
never killed
breaker.
that boss originally, and then I didn't upload from the Fated Seasons. Yeah, so
Abundance.
don't look it up. It's scary. But yeah, usually people call this recital because it's reminiscent of this one mechanic where everybody had to stack and then
Germinate.
take like this small dancing step. And here I was out of position a little bit.
Burst
Luckily
forth.
nobody got clapped by that. Honestly, as long as they're somewhat stacked, it doesn't really matter. But stacking helps. Like some DPS that's listening to this is gonna be like, you know, like
Bark breaker.
bitch slap you and be like, what do you mean it doesn't matter?
5,
My AoE,
4,
I
3.
believe. It's true though. It's true. You should stack.
Germinate.
You should definitely be stacked. Here again, I'm not stacked like a bozo. It's because I was stressing over tank, to be completely honest with you guys. Tank was getting clapped and I don't have like I don't have a
Branch
poison
out.
this spell, so this boss is kind of tricky. I think who has poison this
Healing
spell?
touch.
Evokers have it on 1 minute CD. I
Bark
think
breaker.
druids have it. And was it monk? I think monk does. Either way, not a lot of poison
Healing
dispels in this
touch.
game, so you know, just gotta be careful with the poisons. Kill the ad as soon as
Germinate.
possible so you can get this heal, this spell
Burst
kind of thing,
forth.
and that's it. You know, good boss, killing. APS, press your buttons. This simple.
Bark breaker.
The elements answer to me!
Germinate. Astral whirlwind.
And yeah, these
Astral
packs,
whirlwind.
you know,
Astral bomb.
stunning here is
Empowered.
quite useful.
Astral whirlwind.
Any sorts of roots and stuff, pretty nice as well. This has that nice new root where it's not even just this, right? It's holy that as well. I'm
Astral
bugging now.
whirlwind.
I can't remember. I think it's in the class
Astral
tree.
whirlwind.
I'm not
Astral
sure actually.
bomb.
I can't remember. The tendrils. That's this only, right? But I'm gonna look at it. Yeah, so it is in a class tree. I just don't think I've had it here at all because I don't see it on my bar. I would be very shocked if I
Astral whirlwind.
put it on the bars because I take pride in knowing my utility. So yeah, tendrils overall are really good for the ghost and for these packs as well. Very like I see a lot of people sleeping on that spell. It's a good spell. Use it. Dark Tendrils, a class 3 spell. Super good spell. I've been playing more and more with it. You know where it's huge as well? In Azure Vault on the frogs.
Astral
it's
Whirlwind.
really crazy good there because they don't jump.
Astral
they just stay
Bomb.
rooted the entire time, so you can blast like crazy.
Astral
It's
Whirlwind.
insane. But yeah, basically, as you can see, guys, here, just standard stuff, DPSing, stun I can. So the spear to interrupt.
Astral Whirlwind.
Pinning, they're useful to do. Obviously, don't overlap
Astral
with,
Whirlwind.
you know, others.
Astral
help it.
Bomb.
Kind of hard without communication, but you definitely can try stuff if you really want to. Useful.
Astral Whirlwind.
I don't like to clutter myself with information.
Astral Whirlwind.
Personally, you can always pay attention to, you know, who's using what, you know, rollers or stuns or just utility overall. But I understand that for most like players that are not playing super try hard, it's kind of hard to know utility of every single spec and just track it and stuff. It's hard for everybody, but
Empowered.
that's why I'm saying you can always use Omni CD to track these things if you feel like it's overwhelming for you. And I mean, this boss, guys, is pretty straightforward. I think I will die to Brett here once. This Brett is really fast. You gotta be careful. Don't greet for casts. There's nothing else here, really. You can just dispel people if you want to. You don't
Power
have to.
Vacuum.
Usually, it's better to, I guess. So
Astral
they're not
Breath.
stressing, I guess, I suppose. Yeah, Brett is quite annoying. As you can see, it's really fast. One of the quick ones. There are some slow ones in this expansion, but this one is really quick. So you gotta move out immediately. No smites, no holy fires, finishing
Overwhelming
casts or
power.
anything. Just move out. Yeah, I'm just trying to kind of DPS here. I think this is one of those
Power
bosses
Vacuum.
where you can definitely use Divine Word, Chastise to get that bonus smite damage, and then reapply your holy fires and stuff and just keep him burned completely. For sure, it's one of those fights. Yeah, definitely.
Astral Breath.
I would say so even on Tyrannical. That unless
5,
people do dumb
4,
shit like
3.
this Hunter did, and like I will do in a little bit, this boss is kind of free. It's just kind of like a big target dummy, I feel like. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
Power
if
Vacuum.
somebody disagrees and like you can give me a good reason, hit me up. I'm curious because I frankly I don't like even see what this boss does. Like it's just like a target dummy that puts this thing doesn't really do much.
Astral
and
Breath.
then these balls
Overwhelming
start
power.
moving at like the speed of knocking this breath, which is kind of quick. As you can see here, I got baited into, you know, false sense of security. As you can see, it can definitely kill you, but yeah, that's it.
Power Vacuum.
Alright guys, I'll let you guys enjoy the fight. I'm gonna say thank you so much for watching, appreciate it. You know, if you don't mind, you know, if you enjoy the content, leave
Astral
a like,
Breath.
maybe subscribe, leave some comments. I'm curious to see how your experiences have been with Dragonflight so far. I hope everybody enjoyed the video. It was pretty short. Well, not short, I mean it's the length of
Power
the
Vacuum.
key, but it felt short. Maybe that's because I've got fun making it. But yeah, it's thank you for watching. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned. Disc videos incoming
Astral
soon.
Breath.
Looking forward to doing those. Much love, guys. Take care. See ya. Bye bye.
Overwhelming power. Power Vacuum.